The launch of a Chinese satellite over Taiwan has sparked a debate over election interference. It comes as the island prepares to vote for a new president in just 3 days' time. Sky News Asia correspondent Stash Butler is in Taipei. Stash, talk us through what happened.
Well, at about 3 p.m. yesterday afternoon, alerts sounded on phones across Taiwan. This is an alert system that Taiwanese people are more used to seeing used for earthquakes. This one was warning of a Chinese satellite passing over the south of Taiwan. Now, you've got to remember that at this point in time, Taiwan is on high alert for any kind of military activity from China, which claims Taiwan as its own. That's because Taiwan itself is preparing for presidential and legislative elections on Saturday, just 3 days from now. Now, when that alert went out, I was in a room with Taiwan's foreign minister, and he was quick to denounce the launch as just another example of China putting pressure on Taiwan and Taiwanese voters, trying to sway them at the polls. But since then, the Defense Ministry has actually faced a backlash. Now, that's because the alert that they sent out warned of a satellite in Chinese, but the English read missile. Now, the defence has seized on that as an example of the Defence Ministry perhaps scaring the Taiwanese people. They're accusing the Defence Ministry of itself trying to influence Taiwanese voters by warning them against perhaps a threat from China that in this case didn't really materialise. So really all sections of Taiwanese society showing their concern that countries might try and interfere in the democratic process.
And Stash, what other kinds of interference are people on guard for?
Well, trade is probably the biggest one because China, just sitting across the Taiwan Strait from Taiwan, is Taiwan's biggest export market. There's billions of dollars invested there from the part of Taiwan. Huge Taiwanese companies. Think of Foxconn, for example, the maker of Apple's iPhones. Now, all of that money and all of that trade gives China immense leverage over Taiwan. And over the past few years, it's used that. It's enacted trade or rather export bans, import bans on products from Taiwan into China, things like Taiwanese beer, Taiwanese fish, Taiwanese pineapples. And in just the last few months, they've begun an investigation into a free trade agreement between Taiwan and China. Just yesterday, saying that they were looking into placing restrictions on more Taiwanese products. Now, coming so close to the election, that's being clearly viewed here as an attempt by China to sway voters away from the government and the ruling party.